Baidoa, the centre of Somalia's humanitarian disaster and a source of ready cash for al-Shabaab terrorists.
First of all, we need to talk to the guy who knows most about the financing.
Okay.
Yeah?
Okay, fine.
Somali national intelligence officers are taking us inside a secret prison for al-Shabaab. Captured a few days earlier, this former al-Shabaab fighter was on the front line of its fundraising, collecting thousands of dollars in road tolls, much of it taken from trucks delivering food for refugees. It's a cycle of exploitation that has victims at its very core, hundreds of thousands of them. Many in receipt of money from foreign donors.
This is Bourdan refugee camp. There are a steady flow of refugees coming in here every day. It's impossible to access without an escort from the African Union. And the people fleeing into here are fleeing drought and they're fleeing conflict. And of course, it's those two combinations that are so profitable for groups like al-Shabaab and other warlords.
Fatima's family once owned dozens of goats and 7 cows. Drought and conflict have driven her onto the road, and now she has nothing. But destitute, she is still a source of income for al-Shabaab. 270,000 refugees now live in Baidoa, and more come every day. And this is where the terrorist group profits. Now an agent for the government, this man was a Shabab tax collector for 8 years. Merchants bringing food for sale to refugees pay al-Shabaab to get to Baidoa and tax them there too.
And if they don't pay?
They capture and kill.
He told me that al-Shabaab made about $3 on every bag of rice delivered to Baidoa.
So this doesn't work? You're saying it doesn't work? The UN is still indirectly paying tax to al-Shabaab?
Absolutely. For the sake of roadblocks.
Baidoa was at the centre of man-made famines that killed 300,000 in 1992, 250,000 in 2012, and one that was headed off by aid last year. To avoid theft of supplies, the UN switched to directly transferring cash to refugees last year, and that shifted responsibility for moving food to merchants. But al-Shabaab has continued to profit.
Arguably, then there's actually an incentive for al-Shabaab to concentrate people in Baidoa, focus the aid delivery there, and just scoop off $3 a bag.
I think that's probably right. And the thing is, how do you mitigate and manage those kind of problems? And what is the alternative?
The UN estimates that a single al-Shabaab roadblock along this Mogadishu to Baidoa route generates $5,000 a day for the terrorist group. The country's roads have become al-Shabaab's financial blood supply. 22,000 African troops have been fighting the terrorists, but they're due to pull out in 2 years.
If reduced, that will affect the general operations negatively.
They will leave a vacuum that al-Shabaab could step into.
Absolutely. It will leave a vacuum.
And a vacuum would leave al-Shabaab better able to exploit refugees. Sam Kiley, CNN, Baidoa.